What's going on, guys? This is Kalen Hurley, your host of the Vegas Golden Knight podcast, All the Glitters. Let's start the show. Merry Stanley Cup Finals Eve, guys. One more sleep till game one, Florida versus Edmonton. We'll get to that in a little bit. Something that caught my eye yesterday, the Selke votes are in, and Sasha, a.k.a. Alexander Barkov, for the Florida Panthers, is your winner. I actually agree with this, other than, before he retired, Patrice Bergeron. I think, he was the runaway favorite yearly, and I don't think you could call Barkov underrated anymore. I think everyone knows his value and how good of a two-way forward he is. We did see Jack Eichel take fifth in voting this year, and I think tied for 12th or 13th, somewhere a little further down the line. Mark Stone had a few votes as well. Talking to a buddy earlier today, he made a mention, and it's a great point that I think the top 20 nominees have 50 points or more, which I don't know if I agree with. It's kind of like how the Norris voting is now. It's, most points from a defenseman kind of just wins the Norris, whether or not they're super responsible defensively or not. I'm not saying that Cale Makar is not a defensively responsible D-man. I'm not saying that Quinn Hughes isn't defensively responsible. But what I am saying is, I think that, when you're talking about the Selke, when it specifically says defensive forward, we really got to take into account their defense. If that's the case, people like Philip Deneau and Teddy Bluger and Adam Lowry, these guys should be in the forerunnings. And unfortunately, it kind of has taken a, hey, if you play on the PK ever, you get some nominations. And I don't want to, take anything away from Leon Draisaitl, but I just don't see how he could be a nominated Selke forward. I just don't get it, especially over certain players. I think Austin Matthews takes more PK in D zone or O zone draws than Leon Draisaitl does. So it's like, I think sometimes these awards can be a little bit of a popularity contest. We feel bad so and so didn't get a nomination or win something, so we're gonna kick it one way. It's it is what it is. And then when you go back to something like the Norris, I think they should split it up to defensemen. I think they should have an offensive defenseman and a defensive defenseman. Your Adam Foxes, your Cale Makars, your, the people who can skate and aren't going to wow you with offense, those guys are going to win your defensive defenseman, and then, maybe make it like the Bobby Orr Award, where you're given the Quinn Hugheses and the Roman Yossi's and these guys that are going to light it up. And then, it would be even cooler. Then you're going to have someone like Cale Makar could win both. And so he can go home with some extra hardware at the end of the day. But, it's going back to the Selke. You have these forwards, some people are defensive specialists and some people are, purely offense. And, I think that the defensive side may get overlooked. It's kind of a boring position. Somebody like Jack Eichel, to me, becomes more impressive and more valuable because he does now, at least in this point of his career, super value that defensive side. He takes pride in it. Bruce had said it in an earlier post-game interview that, he was looking at getting, especially after Four Nations, getting Eichel some rest, and same thing with Stone, but they're asking to be part of the PK. They want to be that number one penalty kill unit, because they're good at it. Let's just be honest. And what Mark Stone lacks with speed, and he's just so intelligent that when him and Eichel are out there, at some point, you make the joke, they're on a power kill. Same thing with Carlson and Smith. They're just so good at reading plays that they're going to get up the ice and create offense from their defense. But I think that when you're talking about these guys, you need to, sometimes the defensive side of the puck isn't the sexy side. It's all good and well when you're, going through your legs and going top shelf or hitting Michigans and things like that. But if you don't do the basics right, you're kind of, you become predictable. You could get shut down a lot more. I think that's when some of those forwards and sometimes some of the most dangerous Vegas teams were some of the best defensive teams. Obviously, this podcast being a Vegas Golden Knights podcast, I am going to try to take these things throughout the league and format them into Vegas. So, it's like, this is how I'll put the analogy out, right? If you're going to be one-dimensional offensively, it's like having a very good, like, barbecue chicken pizza. That's what, yeah. You're a pizza place and you have a really good barbecue chicken pizza. This is how I actually live life, though, is if I go to a pizza place for the first time, I'm going to order a cheese pizza or a slice of cheese. And if it's bad, I'm not going back. I'm not going to try your barbecue chicken pizza, because if you can't do the basics right, I don't want to do the rest of don't mask your deficiencies of the basics with this one cool thing. Trevor Zegras' barbecue chicken pizza. Alexander Barkov, Jack Eichel, Mitch Marner, I guess Sam Reinhart stepped it up, William Karlsson. These guys are good cheese pizza. They do the basics right. They get that defensive side, and then they create their offense from there. I would eat the barbecue chicken pizza at Jack Eichel's restaurant. He's got a good cheese. I don't know. That's just the way I think. My crazy brain thinks that if you can't do one thing right, you have no business doing the other. And hey, it's got me this far. So, and I rarely eat bad pizza. So there's that. But this is Stanley Cup Finals Eve. So tomorrow, I believe it's 5 p.m., we have hockey again. The Edmonton Oilers versus the Florida Panthers. I said it earlier in a podcast a couple episodes ago. My official prediction is the Florida Panthers in 6 games, which would mean they are winning. They would be winning at home, which is cool. When Vegas won at home, I wasn't in the arena. I was in San Diego. I actually watched it. My firstborn son, he was about 6 months old. We were in San Diego. Maybe the worst drive of all time. I think he screamed, 6 hours of the 6-hour drive. It was awful. But I remember watching that game and I was holding him when the confetti was going down and sticks and gloves were flying. I will remember that moment forever. And I did something I don't normally do. Is I told my brother-in-law, I said, hey, we're going to go down to the liquor store just right down the street. We were staying in this place. My mom got some wicked Airbnb that was right on the water. She had it in her that she wanted to make this big family trip with the kids, my nieces, my son, both my sisters, all the loved ones. It was a big trip. But anyway, I said, listen, I want to go get 2 beers. And if we win, you're going to take my phone and we're just going to go down to the water and I'm going to film something. And you know what? This will be, because this is the pilot series, I'm going to splice that video right into here. So you're going to watch the video.
Well, they said we weren't going to make the playoffs. They said Winnipeg was going to upset us, that Edmonton was too much, and that Pete DeBoer knew too much, and Dallas was going to beat us. Well, the Vegas Golden Knights are your 2023 Stanley Cup champions. Give me a hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
And we're back. I think that's how that works. But yeah, it was super cool. And the only thing I wish is I wish it was in the arena at home when it happened. So with my prediction, Florida gets to win a cup at home, and hopefully they continue on. Matthew Tkachuk is maybe my top 3 favorite players to watch in the NHL. I have said it a few times, but I like a good prick on the ice, and he rides this line where he is a rat and he does get away with borderline dirty things. But then again, like even the hit on Eichel the year we won the cup, that was a clean hit mid-ice. So I like the physicality he brings. He has a lot of talent to back it up as well. He's not just a goon out there. I mean, it is obnoxious the way he chews on his mouthpiece, but I'll give him a pass for that. And, comes from a good hockey family. Wouldn't mind having Brady on my team either. But the way he plays the game with the skill mixed with the physicality, mixed with the I can get under your skin, I think he does the things you need to do to win important games. I think Matthew Tkachuk does it the best. And, my wife's Canadian, but I'd like to keep the Cup American just because, honestly, if it was any other Canadian team, sure. But it's the Edmonton Oilers, and I just, if we're not going to do it in Vegas, I can't watch another Pacific Division rival do it, especially Edmonton. It felt gross rooting for Dallas, but I did, and they lost. But I think that other than the power play, I think that on paper, Florida has the edge in all the categories. Coaching, offensive forwards, depth, defense. I mean, the top end talent of Edmonton is unmatched. So we can't just say all of the offensive forwards, but I just do think that everything lines up on paper for Florida to get the job done. Can never count out Edmonton. Obviously, they took them to 7 games after being down 3-0 in a series. So when they need to, they get the job done. I mean, Stuart Skinner, when he's playing with confidence, he's a very serviceable goaltender. He doesn't make too many mistakes when he's starting to feel it. So we'll see what happens. I think tomorrow, I think Florida takes game 1. They play a really good road game, and they establish the tone of the game fast, and they do it quick. As far as getting to their game, it's going to be physical, and I think that Florida's got more discipline when it comes to the extracurriculars and the physical stuff. I think they're going to be able to drag Edmonton into that dirtier game. You're going to see Nurse, Kane, Corey Perry, I think, get a little too emotional, and I think that's going to lend to Florida's game a lot better than Edmonton. So I think your big boys are going to show up, your Draisaitl and your McDavid. But I think in the end, Cats in 6, and that's what I'm going to stick to. And I'm going to ride that until it's mathematically impossible. And then I'm going to say Cats in 7. And then if they get eliminated in probably Edmonton in 5, then it's my bad, and I put the bad juju on them, and Canada sees a cup, and they'll be insufferable for the rest of the year. And then, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Evan Bouchard will probably get offer sheeted, and then they'll take a nice, big, healthy dip down. And, yeah, I just think that the only Stanley Cup I want to see Connor McDavid holding is the one his wife asked him to get him out of the cupboard in the kitchen and for the next few years until he's no longer an Edmonton Oiler. That's just, I get it. I want him to win a cup, just not anytime soon. Boom. Yeah. Pete DeBoer still has a job, which is shocking to me. My prediction with that is that he's going to lose his job before the end of the week. I don't think he makes it the weekend with continuing to be the head coach of the Dallas Stars. I don't know who would replace him. You have Peter Laviolette, who was let go from New York. I think he's a great coach. I think he lost the room in there. I think New York had a lot more inner demons with their personnel than they did having a coach lose the room. But it's tough to say. I'm shocked that Andrew Brunette still has a job, so it is what it is. But Barry Trotz is he's a wild card. He's a wild man, so he'll be very active here in draft day and free agency as well. I don't know who would take the helm in Dallas. I think Laviolette might be the only real big name out there. And then who knows? Where does Pete DeBoer go? I made a joke about it, him being the extra coach to swap out with Rick Bowness on TNT. It's just that it seems to be his MO now. Every couple of years, lose the room, be a big giant asshole, throw your goalie under the bus, make the whatever conference finals of the next year at the next team. So it's not like he's a bad coach. He's very successful and knows what he's doing. But when push comes to shove and he gets stressed out, he bugs out, blames the goalie, and then there's there. So that's the Pete DeBoer MO, and I think that we'll see what happens. But I don't think he's going to be behind the bench in Dallas next year. I don't think he's going to be behind the bench in Dallas after this week, but we'll find out. And yeah, a little bit of free agency stuff. The draft is no longer centralized this year, which is rumored to just be this year. We'll find out. So the NHL Combine that's going on right now is going to be the last time GMs in front office and head brass are in the same rooms as each other. So without full-on tampering and the NHL finding out, I do think that there's a lot of small talks going on. I think that you're going to see a lot of maybe even just like draft pick transactions going on, trades there. I don't know how much actual bodies will be traded. They're going to look at this draft class. You might see some people get re-signed. Maybe a team doesn't find that any of their draft picks are going to turn out to be anything, so they re-sign a forward that maybe if they did think that these draft picks would turn out to be, and the players that they were on the fence about re-signing become expendable. But we'll see what happens. I think you're going to get a few of these middle to bottom six forwards signed and locked up, a la Yanni Gourde today, just signed a big 6-year extension in Tampa. It was for $2.3 million, which by the end of that contract could be league min. I mean, if you're signing a contract as a middle six guy or a bottom six guy, it's going to be anywhere less than $2 million. That's going to be rough going if it's a long-term deal. If you're going to sign something less than that, in my opinion, I hope that you squeeze the NHL for all they're worth. You got to sign a bridge deal, 1 to 3 years max, let the cap rise, and then say, well, league min is $1 million. I'm better than that. So then, let's hike that number up a little bit. But, we'll find out. Obviously, I'm hoping that all of my players that we want to target are taking team-friendly deals so we could re-sign Jack Eichel to something stupid and long. And we could somehow finagle a way to get Mitch Marner on and then sign some sort of shorter-term contract to William Karlsson to the end of his career, and that way we're pretty locked up in the middle. But, we'll see what happens. I still do think that if we're going to sign a big fish, it's going to be at the expense of an Ivan Barbashev or a Nick Waugh. And if those two are gone, the likelihood of us re-signing Nick Hague is going to be slim to none. Maybe Vegas is hoping Hague gets offer sheeted so we can get some draft compensation back and then use that to help sweeten a deal with somebody. Maybe we're signing and trading Nick Hague as they're signing and trading, Mitch Marner, and we're going to do, Hague packaged with the deal with somebody like Barbashev or Waugh or both or Dorofeyev, things like that. But if we lose a Dorofeyev, then We have to find another scoring winger on the second line. It's a lot of moving parts. I think that Vegas has the number one front office in the league. I think that's why a lot of fan bases get super pissed at us, and rightfully so. We're the new kid on the block. I mean, we're not the newest kid on the block, but we're the new kids on the block, and we've had a lot of success. And some people have a little revisionist history and said that we were given this awesome team right out of the gate, which, if you're playing armchair quarterback, is true. We made the Stanley Cup Finals in our first year. But if you rewind that back to the previous October, on paper, every pundit and analyst had us finishing dead last in the league. So, which is it? Were we shit and exceeded expectations beyond all measure because of a lot of different variables? Or were we good and you guys just want to hate to hate? So either you're wrong or you're a hater. Either way, kick rocks. 8 years later, we have a cup, and we have a lot more banners than some teams that have been around for a lot longer. So I get it. And I get the fact that some places feel like we're this, like, you see it a lot on Twitter, or formerly Twitter, X, that, it's Bettman's babies, and, they want to make sure, desert hockey failed in Arizona, so they want to make sure it's good in Vegas, and, the refs favor us, the Vegas Golden refs, this, that, and the other. And, I'm a homer as far as Vegas. I was a previous Vancouver Canucks fan, like I said in the first pilot episode. But beyond that, I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan for football. I know pain. I know misery. So thinking about Vegas being such a transient and transplant city, these people who now root for Vegas may not have had a hockey team, but they've had sports teams that they were fans of. So, and I guarantee you, not everyone's a Patriots fan, or not everyone's a Boston Red Sox fan. Not everyone's not everyone's a Lakers fan. They don't have 20 or Yankees. They don't have 20 some odd championships in their sports fandom history. I can guarantee you there's a lot more misery sports fans being Vegas Golden Knights fans prior to them than there are not. Now you're going to have your rhinestone wearing, soccer moms going, but who cares? Let them have fun, dude. Like, that's what all this is about. We're here to have fun and root for a team, and now we get to speculate in the off season, and now we get to do all these fun things. But that was another one of the reasons I brought this podcast up, is I hate the gatekeeping in hockey. So I want to make sure that we can kind of take back that control. Yeah, we're new. Who cares? We're not going anywhere, especially after the success we've had. So hate us or don't, either way, it's not going to matter. And yeah, we probably are going to stink in 10 years. We haven't really developed a minor league program, and we haven't really done much with our draft classes and draft picks and all these things. We've just shipped them out for other players. But remember, that's how Vegas drafts. We'll use past drafts that are known and proven to try to better the team. Now, will we pay the piper eventually? Yes. Is he eventually coming a lot sooner than we think? Yes. Is that probably 2 or 3 years? Yes. Vegas has another 2 to 3 year window to make the deepest cup runs or win another Stanley Cup, and then I do think we take a step back. But I think a step back is like making the wild card for Vegas. I don't think the step back is like tanking and being in the draft lottery, as people think. I could be very wrong. I think one of the biggest mistakes you could do is doubt GM Kelly McCrimmon and George McPhee, and especially someone with the support, or those two have the support of Bill Foley, who has been said, I'll spend $200 million if they let me. So I think we're going to do everything we can to be as competitive as long as we can. So, after this week and the rumors will start flying around, I think there's a lot of stuff that's getting thrown at the wall, hoping it sticks. Mitch Marner a couple of weeks ago was linked to him preferring like Vegas, Florida, and then like little other teams like LA was in on the mix and Anaheim. And now it's like the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Utah Mammoth and all these guys. We're all in. The San Jose Sharks are going to make these big giant deals and throw Mitch Marner's way. It's like, yeah, I guess, but we'll see. But yeah, it's just fun to speculate and chat. And yeah, that's it for tonight. I don't want to ramble too much longer. So see you guys later. Thanks for listening to this crazy fan. And thanks for listening every time you tune in. I appreciate your ears. I love you very much. As always, go Knights. Oh, and I'm really bad at this part, but if you like this, please subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. Please follow us on our Instagram. Please follow us on our X or Twitter account, whatever you want to call it. On my Instagram and on my X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, there's a link tree in there with all my social medias, or the podcast social media, excuse me. So if you can give that a like and a follow, that'd be awesome. My goal is 100 subscribers on the YouTube by July 4th. We're at 61, so I need 39 more of you to just really quickly, as you're listening to this, go bloop, give it a thumbs up, 2 bloops, thumbs up and a subscribe, and I would love you forever. I will figure out a giveaway at 100. I will take all that subscribers list. I will do something. Maybe I take you guys out for a round of golf. Maybe I give you a free personal training session, something along the lines of something I can show my appreciation for. Please be golf. Please be golf. Please be golf. I'll do whatever you need me to. But thank you again. Yeah, I'll see you next time. I'm out of here.